Oh man, did some stuff just go down with the mutants, like some serious stuff. We need to talk. What's up, my comic comrades? So the X-Men Hellfire Gala 2023 edition dropped recently, and man, did a lot of crap go down in this giant-sized issue. Some big changes occurred for the X-Men and the mutants in general, as this kicks off the Fall of X event for Marvel. But instead of just rambling on about it, let's jump into this jam-packed issue. Alright, so the Hellfire Gala starts off with a bang. We find out right from the jump that Miss Marvel, who recently died in Amazing Spider-Man issue 26, has not only been brought back to life by the X-Men, but she is now a mutant in human hybrid. When Charles and several of the X-Men tell her this after she's been resurrected, she's in shock. Needless to say, Charles Xavier and several of the X-Men say, "That's right, Miss Marvel, welcome. You have a home on Krakoa." Hope then tells her, "And to be clear, you're an Inhuman and a mutant. We didn't think it was even possible." Emma Frost then wants Kamala to come out and tell the world she's a mutant at the upcoming Hellfire Gala, as Emma Frost wants to use this as some sort of big PR win for the Hellfire Gala this year, as everyone seems to like Miss Marvel, and this would be a huge announcement. Problem is, Kamala's like, "I have a secret identity though," but Emma insists and has an outfit made for her for the gala, as this is very much the X-Men Marvel version of the Met Gala, where everyone has to dress up in crazy elaborate outfits. But as she's on her way, Kamala says, "Wait, my embiggening is my Inhuman side. Do I have a mutant power?" Then the night of the gala, we get captions saying the untimely death of Miss Marvel and the end of the debate over whether to tell Kamala that Cerebro identified her as a mutant, telling us Cerebro knew she was a mutant, but now is the time to tell her, as it's a political move for Emma Frost. Anyway, the gala begins, and the host then says, "Welcome once more to the Protectorate of the Nation of Krakoa and another Hellfire Gala. We are the 5-in-1. And we are your hostesses this season. The theme of this year's party is friendship and futurism. We welcome our human friends, ambassadors, and honored guests whose lives have been made better by our Krakoan medicines. We hope their stories of health and happiness can help dispel the information that is spread about Krakoa by our enemies." Anyway, as the gala starts off, Cyclops tells Jean that an alarm just went off at the treehouse. She asks, "Want to go together?" He says, "I've got it. If I'm not back before the vote, give everyone our news." She replies, "Of course." After this, the book checks in with several X-Men characters like the Juggernaut, who's been reformed and is up as a candidate for the new X-Men lineup. We then see Miss Marvel catch up with Charles Xavier, where she asks Charles, "Can you tell me what my mutant powers are?" He responds, "Unfortunately, I cannot. We have no idea what your gift is. Your encounter with the Terrigen Mist made you an Inhuman before your mutant power manifested. You're lucky that Cerebro correctly identified you at all. The mist has always had a negative effect on human physiology." All this means is she's definitely going to get a mutant ability, and it's probably going to be super OP. Then right after this, several of the Avengers who are at the gala, such as Sam Wilson, Captain America, Thor, Black Panther, Vision, and more, get notified that there's a threat in DC they need to attend to. As the Avengers leave the gala, Rogue takes out her Avengers card and sees that it says "Unknown subject attacks America's capital." It is urgent, and Captain America Steve Rogers has activated his distress beacon, and he's unresponsive. Emma Frost, who's also listening, asks, "That must happen a lot." She replies, "Not even once," as she flies off to help, saying, "This is Rogue. I'm inbound to Rogers." Now, even though things and problems are going on elsewhere, the gala must go on. So Jean makes her announcement of who the new lineup and future of the X-Men are going to be, as she uses her telepathic powers. She says, "Fresh blood. Your all-new X-Men team is Talon, Cinch, Prodigy, Cannonball, Frenzy, Dazzler, Jubilee, and the Juggernaut." But on the very next page, seconds after they were announced as the new X-Men team, Nimrod comes crashing in, creating red mist everywhere, if you know what I mean. Dude straight up annihilated everyone besides Juggernaut, Talon, and Cinch. Captions then say Nimrod avoided detection by orbiting the Earth and descending from the thermosphere at terminal velocity. Everyone at the gala would have been killed if it were not for Jean Grey blunting the shockwave with her telekinesis. But even still, several mutants all around were killed. At this point, Omega level mutant Iceman decided to take on Nimrod, saying, "If you're programmed to kill mutants, then you are programmed to die. I terraformed an entire planet. What are you compared to that?" as he lays into Nimrod. But Nimrod responds, "Funny you should mention that. I'm going to liberate this planet one mutant at a time, starting with the X-Men," as he stabs Iceman in the chest. Captions then say, "Orchis planned and drilled. They executed the false flag attack in DC and the assassination attempt on Captain America. They were dividing and conquering. Success would only be measured in corpses. First, they needed to take out the Omega level mutant." So wouldn't you know it, Orchis is behind all of this. Once Iceman is stabbed, he says, "If that was your best shot, then you're in a lot of trouble." But then he realizes that something on the blade was having a chemical reaction inside of him. As he starts to melt, saying, "I can't see. Jean, Scott, Warren, where are you? I'm sorry," as he turns into a puddle of water with nothing left but his skull. Now I need to mention how impressive that is, because Iceman is an Omega level mutant. He can do so many things as he controls moisture in general, and Nimrod just took him out like nothing. At this point, Jean Grey uses her powers to fire Juggernaut at Nimrod like a bullet, but it only temporarily takes him down. Jean then starts coordinating her defenses, but she doesn't have long. The rest of Orcus's forces were inbound. Previously, just the single Stark Sentinel had nearly succeeded in killing the X-Men. Now they face them all. It's at this point that Dr. Stasis shows up with an Omega Sentinel. He then reveals to Charles Xavier, "I want you to see what I have accomplished. Look into my mind. While your attention was, let's say, divided during your previous Hellfire Gala, I was working very hard in your pharmaceutical factories. It wasn't hard. I just flipped a few switches, and ever since then, you've been peddling medicine with a backdoor kill switch." That's right, the medicine the mutants were giving the humans to help them was infiltrated by Dr. Stasis. He then tells MODOK to turn it on and says, "Pay attention, Xavier. Witness what we can do with the humans on your so-called medicines." As we see the medicines make any human who took it go completely nuts and suffer in pain. Now from here, for several pages, it's just a massive all-out battle between the mutants, Orcus, and its forces. But eventually, Omega level mutant Jean Grey gets fed up and yells, "Stop," freezing everyone, saying, "Everyone in Orcus, listen very carefully to me. Tonight you trespass against us and chose violence. Let all those thoughts go and you will survive to see the dawn. I'm going to gently place our friends down and then I'm going to change your minds." But before she could use her powers to do so, Dr. Stasis says to someone, "It's now or never, friend," as Robomora shows up, stabbing Jean from behind. Now you may be asking, how could she not sense this with all of her extraordinary Omega level telepathy? Well, Robomora is just that, a robot, which Jean wasn't able to sense. At this point, we also see that Cyclops has fallen at the tree, saying, "The treehouse was a trap. I'm not going to be able to join you. My legs, I can't feel them. Jean, why can't I feel you?" And that's simply because she's dying. Now you may be asking, how is a simple blade killing an Omega level mutant like Jean? Well, Moira tells us it's a little something we found on a place called Otherworld. I believe you called it Blight's Will. But when the other mutants see that Jean is dying, they rally and start attacking. But they are quickly shut down when Moira sneaks up behind Charles Xavier, putting the blade to his throat, saying, "Stop them, Charles. Do it now, or we will fill airwaves around the world with MODOK's sweet music, and all those humans you help die like squealing piggies." So Charles uses his mutant's abilities, saying "stop," freezing every single mutant, falling to his knees, telling Orcus he surrenders. Dr. Stasis then tells Charles, "We have more than just your medicines. We also hacked your gates. Right now, they all point off Earth. We will kill no more humans if you all leave." Charles says, "I could never get all of them to agree to simply walk off the Earth forever." Moira says, "You just made them stop, Charles. Now make them walk, or every drop of blood that spills will be on your head." Dr. Stasis then says, "Now let's discuss consequences. The first time a mutant is found on Earth, we kill a human. The second time, the cost will be 10 humans, then 100. I suppose you're smart enough to know about the powers of 10. At this point, Jean, who's still clinging to life, uses her powers to talk to Firestar, basically saying, "I can embed you inside Orcus." I opened a door inside Stasis's mind. I was going to reset it, but I have to be bigger. We have to be bigger. I can make him think he recruited you. Essentially, Jean tells Firestar that she can rewrite Dr. Stasis's mind, making him believe she's working for Stasis, when in reality, she will just be a mole for the mutants. After this, we see Charles is forced into making the horrible decision of forcing the mutants to go through the gates, which will take them all off Earth. With that said, there are several mutants such as Emma Frost, Kitty Pryde, Wolverine, and more that are able to resist this, as Charles had trained them in years prior. After all the mutants walk through, we see Jean die with nothing left but her skeleton as Cyclops senses it. The mutants that were able to resist are then teleported away by Lourdes, narrowly escaping Orcus. We see she took all of them, including Kingpin, who was at the gala event, to the basement of the old Hellfire Club. However, we learn that during the teleport, she was shot by Orcus and dies in Emma's hands. And the issue then ends with Rogue saving Xavier from Moira, who is about to kill him. Rogue then picks up Xavier and flies him away, saying, "Hang on, they're deploying Sentinels after us. I'm taking you to Steve Rogers. He's reforming the Unity Squad. We have friends." Xavier, using his powers, says, my God, no, 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 take me to the island." She says, "That's suicide, Charles." He tells her, "Please, you don't understand. They're all gone, Rogue." She replies, "Who's gone?" He says, "Our mutant family, everyone who walked through the gates. They weren't meant to go to Araco. I can't reach any of them. They're all gone. They're all dead." Rogue says, "Charles, there were 250,000 mutants on Krakoa. They can't all be gone." He replies, "But they are. I made everyone walk through the gates at the party and across the planet. Stasis told me I had to, but I didn't know. I didn't know they did something to the gates. I pushed them into a meat grinder. They're all dead. and I killed them. Now leave me and avenge them, as Charles screams in sorrow and pain. And that, my friends, is Hellfire Gala 2023 and the beginning of Fall of X. This was one hell of an issue. Also, Miss Marvel is now a mutant, and apparently she's going to be getting a mutant ability pretty soon, and Nimrod killed the brand new X-Men lineup seconds after they were announced. Iceman is dead, Jean Grey is dead, and Orchis forced Charles to push 250,000 mutants through a meat grinder willingly. What else can I say besides this issue was phenomenal? So much happened, and there was so much set up for the Fall of X, which is gonna be one crazy ride, and we're here for it. So we definitely will be keeping you up to date with this series as it rolls out. But with that said, let us know what you thought of this issue and where everything is going with the X-Men down in the comment section. Other than that, we'll see you next time when I talk about all things comics.